Good to talk to you guys again. How you doing?
Fantastic. First and foremost, what kind of a weather welcome can BYU fans expect in Tampa, Florida this weekend?
You know, it's actually rained here the past couple of days. It probably hadn't rained in the last month. I don't think we're going to have any rain on Saturday, but typical temperatures in the 80s. It's not going to be really too hot. Obviously, for anybody traveling from your neck of the woods, it will be a little bit warmer, but I don't think it's going to be miserably hot or anything. So it should be a nice day for football, I think.
Yeah, Brett, if you want to try your hand at meteorology, I think you may have a future in this.
I think anybody can have a future with weather.com, but yeah, thanks.
Brett, what's your impression of BYU football through the first 5 games of the season?
Some surprises, some good, some bad. Obviously, being the only school in the country to go with 4 Power 5 opponents. The nice upset against Tennessee and USC, and then the tough loss against Washington, and then obviously I think the Toledo loss was just a product of just being worn out against that tough schedule, and then having to travel. So, I've at times very impressed. At times, BYU didn't look as good. But again, it's the only school in the country that's faced that type of schedule. I think you guys made out pretty much what I thought you'd be. Probably a little bit better. I take that back because I probably looking before the season. I thought if you guys would have come out of that 1-3, and then probably 2-3, I just didn't expect the loss to Toledo, and I thought probably one of the losses to either Tennessee or to USC.
South Florida head coach Charlie Strong referenced BYU yesterday, and he said, quote, that he referenced them as a, quote, really good Power 5 team in the college football landscape. Is BYU still considered a P5 equivalent in your opinion?
Well, it depends on your definition of Power 5. Because somebody was on Twitter the other day asked me about this, or saying, well, you referenced BYU as a Power 5 opponent 5 years ago at ESPN, when I was reporting that some of the Power 5 conferences were counting BYU as a Power 5 opponent. And it's basically the conferences can designate whatever they want to meet the requirements for playing Power 5 opponents. But bottom line is, if you're not in one of the Power 5 conferences or Notre Dame, you are not a Power 5 program. I mean, that's the reality of it. Don't shoot the messenger. So I know when these coaches talk about other teams, they're obviously going to build them up and say, well, they're a Power 5 program and all that. Look, BYU's not a Power 5 program. Boise State's not a Power 5 program. That's just the reality of it. And it's unfortunate, but that's how it is. And, it doesn't mean you can't win on the field against the Power 5 programs, which BYU and, obviously Mountain West is having a great year against Power 5 opposition. But as far as the definition of a Power 5 program, you don't have an automatic bid to the college football playoff or the New Year's Six Bowls. You don't have a media rights deal worth north of $25 or $30 million a year. So that is what a Power 5 program is. And BYU and 64 other schools are not one of those.
Yeah, I'm with you. Last time I checked the bank account, that $30 million from a TV contract was not coming in. Although BYU fans will hold on to anything they can get their grasp on when it comes to, well, we're a Power 5 equivalent. We want the respect. We want the respect of the nation. So, Brett, as a Power 5 equivalent in scheduling, according to some conferences, is BYU's 2-3 record right now more a result of the difficult schedule, in your opinion, or is it more injuries to Tyson Williams and Zach Wilson and the lack of execution?
I think it's more the schedule. Again, you look at this and, obviously Vegas is not everything, but based on point spreads, BYU should have been 1-4 at this point. They should have lost all 4 games against the Power 5 opponents, and they didn't. So I think that's very impressive. Again, that if BYU would have had the open date before the Toledo game, I think that Toledo game would have ended up differently. I thought BYU would have won that game. But just, again, coming off the body blows of 4 consecutive Power 5 opponents. And that's why a lot of, when you get these people that are touting these non-power programs that, a UCF or somebody like that, and people that are skeptical are like, well, look, if you play in a Power 5 league and you play a Utah, Tennessee, USC, Washington, you play these type of opponents 4 or 5 consecutive weeks, then the injuries start to pile up, then you start having issues, and obviously BYU has learned firsthand. So, no, I don't necessarily think it's really that much lack of execution. I just think it's a culmination of playing these bigger teams that are deeper and stronger, and it finally took a toll. So it'll be fascinating to see how the Cougs fare the second half of the season when they don't have to face that type of opposition, with the exception of maybe Boise State.
Brett, we referenced at the beginning of the interview that you live in Tampa. What's the vibe on Charlie Strong and South Florida in that area? Do people pay attention to them? I mean, what's the vibe down there with the program?
This will be, for those that come to the game Saturday, this will be the biggest stadium / smallest crowd that you will probably have ever encountered.
Oh, boy.
Basically, it's frustrating, I think, for USF fans because Charlie Strong was brought in. And initially, the first reaction was, great, we're bringing in this guy, and then he's going to win 1 year, and then he's going to move on. And I would tell those fans, look, you've got 2 alternatives. One is he comes in, he wins right away, and he moves on, and the program's in a better spot. Or 2, he doesn't win enough right away, and he isn't able to go back to the Power 5. And then you've got him for a couple of years, and then all of a sudden you're like, we haven't won enough. What's going on? We need a coaching change. I think they're getting close to that latter example. And the biggest reason is in their last 11 games against FBS opponents, they are 2-9. Both of those wins were against UConn. So it hasn't gone well for USF and for Charlie Strong. And at the same time, UCF, their big rival, is well aware of what they've done the past couple of years. So it's going to be we'll have to see how USF does the rest of the year. Obviously, BYU and Navy back-to-back weeks, and then the last in the month of November they take on the top teams from the American in Cincinnati, Memphis, and UCF in consecutive weeks. So USF could struggle to get to 6 wins and get to a bowl game.
Brett McMurphy, Stadium Sports College Football Insider with us on BYU Sports Nation. You have Navy and BYU playing in the Hawaii Bowl for a 3rd straight week in your bowl projections. If not Navy, what other team could potentially fill that spot to take on BYU in Hawaii?
You want me to throw somebody in new next week? Is that what you're saying? Mix it up a little bit?
Why not?
Well, here's the deal. So obviously these, the accuracy rate on these are not very high. Although the BYU one, don't tell anyone, that one's a lock, okay? But as far as the opponents, look, I'm told Navy probably is not going to go back to the military, so I try to mix it up and find out, okay, where would be a good spot for Navy, send them all the way to Hawaii. They always try to get somebody different in there. Maybe UCF hasn't been to Hawaii. UCF obviously would be a good TV matchup. They look for good TV matchups in that Hawaii Bowl played around the Christmas holiday. So I could see UCF maybe as a possibility. I think the only schools that you're likely not going to see in that game will be Houston because they were in there a couple of years ago, and then Cincinnati was also a few years ago. So maybe some mix of a Memphis or UCF could be a possibility, and we could replay that infamous Miami Beach game.
Oh boy! Oh yeah.
If you want.
Brett, great stuff. We appreciate the time as always, and your insights into the Cougars and college football. Thanks so much.
Okay, enjoy the trip to Tampa. Thank you.
You got it. Thanks, Brett. Brett McMurphy on the Deseret First Credit Union Hotline. Deseret First, you know why. We show how.